Hmm. Hmm. Cool. So, yeah. So yesterday, I think I noticed the same or a different issue with my microphone, where beforehand it was way too quiet. This time, it apparently is too loud because it is very clearly picking up the the sound of the fan whenever I'm talking. Um, I was listening to playback on a clip that I made, which is very weird. Because I clipped the video and I posted it online from yesterday's stream, and the audio was much louder than I expected. But cool. All right, let's see. Okay, so this is wow. This is session 31. So it's been technically a month's worth of storyboarding sessions. Granted, it has taken closer to 2 months to get here because I didn't necessarily do them every morning. But yeah, that's pretty cool. 31. What has been learned so far on my artistic journey on all this? I think I think I like the fact that when I first started this, there were certain tropes that I would do in every scene that I think I don't do as much anymore. There are certain camera moves and things that I would do that I've done for years in terms of like everything turns into a tracking shot. Like, yeah, I'm still doing tracking shots, but they're a little bit different now. Or in the past, it'd just be like everything would be a similar type of scene, and also it would take me a lot longer to actually get to the plot points. Usually most of my scenes would start with someone entering into something, like entering into a scene for like, the first 50 panels is just them walking around. I think I'm glad that now most of my scenes, when I do them, I think I'm able to cut to the chase, like actually, get right into the main purpose of the scene instead of meandering about for a while. So I like that. I don't think there's anything else that I feel like has improved. I think I'm doing a lot more cuts and edits, which I like. There's something, part of the reason why I'm so good at doing tracking shots. Okay, sorry, that sounds, I don't know, conceited or pretentious or whatever the heck. Okay, but I like doing tracking shots. Part of the reason why I do tracking shots so much is because it's easy to storyboard tracking shots straight ahead, because you always have the previous shot as a point of, like, the previous drawing as a frame of reference as to what the next drawing is. So you don't have to make any like super hard creative decisions other than just how's the camera moving. So like, for instance, in this shot, see, here's this character walking out, and the camera follows him and some people walk into the foreground. Like, the camera isn't going to just randomly cut to a worm's eye view, or it's not going to randomly cut to some highly composed shot, because this is a tracking shot or a long take, or oneer, or whatever you want to call it. And because of that, when storyboarding, it's very easy, because I know, like, okay, I know at least for the rest of the scene what the parameters are, and what I can expect of the next drawing, that nothing too crazy is going to happen from one drawing to the next. So one of the things I'm kind of happy about after having done all these warm-up sessions for a month is that I'm now much more open to cutting, I think, and not worrying about doing everything into a tracking shot or a long take. So like this sequence, where, okay, yeah, that was a long shot, but then it cuts into, you can barely read what's happening there. But this guy just crash landed. This has a whole bunch of cuts and stuff like that in it. So you can probably hear the clicking of my very loud keyboard. But yeah, it's stuff like this that I'm like, okay, I'm actually doing a scene. It's not just a really cool gimmicky shot. It's an actual scene with emotions and stuff like that. Not that tracking shots are all gimmicks, but they can turn into gimmicks very easily if you're not careful. At least that's my opinion. As much as I like the movie, or some of the movie 1917, movie 1917 is kind of a gimmick film. Whether you like it or not, it is, the gimmick of the movie is that, hey, it's all one, it feels like one long take. And then the question is, like, should the movie have been all one long take? Okay, am I actually going to start today's session? Okay, maybe I will. I think I'm going to have to start a new Storyboard profile. This one, yeah, claims to be 33 minutes long, which is very clearly lagging. I've been complaining about Storyboard Pro lagging, but I think really it's my fault, not the program's fault. I just have too much stuff in here. So I'm actually going to back up this file right now. Because now I'm nervous that if this were to get deleted or lost, yeah, that wouldn't be good. Cool. Well, it's saving. Very fun. Also, tragic news. I think I lost a single subscriber yesterday. But I'm also kind of suspicious that it might have been someone who accidentally subscribed to me. So, who knows? But, there'll be a wound that never heals. Alright. Let's see. Okay, cool. So, here we are. We're at it again. What is this stream, you may ask? 14, 15 minutes in. This is Master Shots Volume 2 Challenge. Whoa. It's a challenge I've developed, more of a warm-up exercise. Man, I should have started with this. Either way, it's a warm-up exercise / challenge that I've developed over the years where you have a random dice generator and you roll it, and you take 2 sections from the book Master Shots Volume 2 based off of whatever you roll on your dice. And then you use those as the basis for a prompt to draw out a scene rather quickly. Ideally, you draw one drawing every 15 to 20 seconds. And you draw it in 22-minute increments. Oh, man. And so the reason for this is so that within 22 minutes or so, you can draw 90 panels. If you can keep that 15-second average, you can draw 90 panels in no time. It's really good. It's really cool. I say this every time, but I I think since starting this challenge, there hasn't been a single instance of me actually hitting that average. I don't know what happened. I used to be able to hit that average because I've been doing these exercises like off and on for a couple of years. I know my drawing average used to be a lot more. I know there was an instance where I did like 120 panels in like 22 minutes. It was crazy. But I think part of the reason I was able to do that was because I'm just making excuses now. that was because I was doing tracking shots, which, as I mentioned, are not mentally taxing to draw like this. And so when doing a tracking shot, you can kind of you can get a lot more panels in. Okay. So, that being said, yeah, I'm having my what is it? When like people at the gym are like, yeah, in high school I used to bench press 400 all the time. Having one of those moments. Oh yeah, no, I swear. When I was like 15, we were like deadlifting 800 pounds. I swear, I used to storyboard 200 panels in just 10 minutes. It's true. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's see. Random dice generator. Ooh, I rolled a 98, which equals 9.8 in book, which may or may not be a section. Because this book, not every section ends on... Hey, you know what? 9.8 is a section, so we're good. Well, this is interesting. I actually have no idea what this is. I think this is a section of the book. Yeah. I'm starting to notice I slur my S's. Sorry. This is a section of the book. Yeah. Section 9.8, outer focus. I've not done this. I'm going to read it, so give me a second. Oh, this is the chapter on intimacy, to show that characters are close together. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I know what this section is and what it's about. You know what? I'm going to do a little brief summary of it, and I'm going to explain why I'm not going to do it. Sorry, this is me bailing out on at least this prompt. Okay. The reason why I'm not going to do this is because this is eerily similar to a bunch of other shots that I've been doing and a whole bunch of other prompts I've done recently. And I am just tired of doing shots like this. Like I did that yesterday. I did it a couple days before that. So outer focus is essentially when two characters... Now for the context of this is supposed to be like love. You know, that thing. No. So the idea is that if two characters who are like in a romantic relationship or something like that,
are both like looking at the same thing. So the instance that the book gives is two people are like watching TV, you know, that archaic thing that people used to do. Back in the olden days, people used to even get mad at each other and say, "Where's the remote?" Dark times, truly. And so the idea of this is that in this composition, the focus is on something that is off screen. So they are looking at something that is, you know, in perspective that's behind the camera. So they're focusing on something that is off screen here. And so what this kind of shot does is that, and you can cut in closer to them. Sorry, I am kind of just copying from the book. Where he's like, I'm happy. And she's like, I'm into cryptocurrency. Still. And so here, the focus of these two characters in their moment is still off screen. Maybe just a little bit past the camera, or just a little bit past the lens. You know, so their view is almost looking right into the lens, but not quite. And so that kind of makes it like an intimate moment where for the audience, we're almost looking them in the eyes, and we're seeing that they're happy and whatnot. And yeah, and so the focus is whatever they're looking on. The reason why I don't want to do this is because yesterday I had not a shot that was the same, but similar. And then in session 23, 24, I also had something that was similar, which is with the two kids that are looking at space debris. And I'm trying to think if there was another one. It's just a type of shot that I've done too many times. Unless this is a sign from like, you know, this is a sign that like, Chris, you need to get good at this type of shot. So I don't know. Dang it. I can think of a good example of how I could do this. Okay, putting this one on hold. This one is on hold. I feel like every time I say I'm not going to do something, I'm going to quit out on something, I then end up doing it. I forget which stream it was, but it was a couple streams ago where I was like, I'm too tired. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. I'm not going to do the stream. And then like right as I was clicking the X button, I was just like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Let's see where the scene goes. Okay, section 6.4. Alright, yeah, now the problem is at the last second, I just realized that there's something I could do with outer focus to make it interesting. Okay, 6.4, face to face. Okay. This is another one where I'm going to have to read the description, but I vaguely know what this is. Okay. I know what this is. Okay. So the instance So this section's called Face to Face. I don't know if that's the best way to describe what it is, what's going on. But the section of the book that it's in is about revealing plot. So revealing plot points. So the idea in this scene is, now I remember why I do so many tracking shots. It's because this book actually in the description emphasizes on doing long takes. So let's say there's two characters that are, they're chatting. Use a smaller brush. There's two characters chatting. And maybe what happens is, maybe there's a wall behind this character. Like, the character 2, like, maybe the camera's getting closer, like, as the plot points are getting more interesting. And so character 2 maybe comes in closer to, like, reveal some plot information. And he's like, yo, the Empire is pretty chill. Maybe you should, like, join it or something. And then what happens is character 2 might circle around and then continue to talk, but like in the foreground. And then character 1 is now kind of almost looking at us so that we can get their emotional response. And then what happens there is maybe they actually start talking, or maybe they look away from the camera because they're like sad or embarrassed by something that's going on. They're like, no, I don't think the Empire's pretty chill. I will not join it or something. If someone wants to give me more quotes to use other than Star Wars detours, I would love it. I feel like now I'm contractually obligated to make that reference every single time. But okay, so the idea of this type of shot is that, character 2 is revealing plot point information. So he's revealing plot point where he's like, okay, I'm not going to say it. Like, I don't know, maybe he's like, it was a tragedy. I'm sorry that you're going to have to go through this, but I need to tell you something. And she's like, whoa, what is it? What is it? Like, what happened? And he's saying some things where he's like, your dog, it accidentally jumped into the microwave and someone turned it on or something like that. I don't know, something really tragic. And then he's like, but your dog also, I don't know, he had confidential information on him. And so as he's revealing more information, he also had the top secret government files on him, and they got destroyed in the microwave with them. And so then, like, as he's revealing more information, the emotional focus is actually on her. Oh yeah, sorry, this is a her. Here, I'll identify her with a bow. Okay, now it's very clear. So the emotional focus is on her. At first, the focus is on him revealing plot points. Then the focus is on her reacting to the plot points and emotionally. And then here is her talking. Somebody hit those rumble strips across the street. Sorry, there was a truck driving down the road. And so the point of this type of scene is actually intentionally to not do a whole bunch of cutting. It's about keeping the emotional tension of two characters talking about something that might be kind of difficult. So it's kind of what the focus of this specific section of the book is that, like, hey, two characters are having a maybe tough or difficult discussion. And don't cut around, because then that loses the tension and that loses the emotion of it. And also keep the camera moving just a little bit. So that's this. This is a very interesting shot, or I don't know, prompt. I'm going to roll a third time. and section 2.5. So that's cool. Okay. Clandestine. Okay. Clandestine. Clandestine. You know? Yeah, this is not difficult. I'm trying to think. These might... Man, I might actually be able to fit all 3 of these prompts in here. Because these all involve characters who are basically sitting or within close proximity of each other. Okay, so what is this? This, I think, was actually one of the very first sections that we did. I think stream number 2? Stream number 2 or stream number 1 was this. And so, what is it? Glad you asked. So this is what happens when characters, maybe this isn't a thriller or an espionage film, or here's 2 characters at SeaWorld. They're in the splash zone. You know, here's was it Tillicum, the killer whale, or something like that. Okay, so basically, it's when 2 characters are in a, or it could be more characters, are in a public space, or in a public environment, and they are having a conversation that maybe they shouldn't be having, or is top secret, something like that. So the idea of this shot is you see these characters are in a public space, and there's, you know, people walking back and forth or stuff like that. People going this way and that way. And they are talking to each other, but they need to make it feel like, or like they're not supposed to be. So maybe like in a spy film, this is like someone is meeting someone up, and they're talking about secret stuff, but they're doing it in public. Because I don't know, maybe they don't want to be killed in public or something like that. They're doing it for their own defense. And so what happens is you shoot the characters in a way that makes it so that they aren't using a lot of ums today, that they aren't directly facing each other. So there, I just said it. It's like I'm using a lot of ums today, and then I literally say yeah. So it's to, you know, they're not looking at each other. They're looking at the thing. They're looking at the killer whale, and or a dolphin or whatever the heck is over there. And so throughout this whole shot, there is, yeah, sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, just they're not looking at each other, and that the way it's shot always makes it feel like that they are emotionally isolated. And so something that you can do, or is important to do, is if you have one character where you're shooting from their like backside like this, it feels a little bit more awkward. It feels weird. And it makes it more apparent that they aren't looking at each other. So if you were to cut this person out of the foreground, it doesn't have that same weird feeling. You know what I mean? Like when the character's there in the foreground, it's like, okay, that, you know, it feels weird because you can tell they're not looking at each other because you can visually see the back of another character. When that back's gone, you actually don't know that they're not able to make eye contact. It's only by having that there that you know that that's kind of what's going on, that they're intentionally trying to avoid eye contact. The other thing that's important for a scene like this is if you have enough room to be able to see characters and people in the background, that really adds to it. Because if you, now they should probably be out of focus. This is probably gonna be shot with like a longer lens, probably not with like an extreme wide angle lens or anything like that. But if you can see the background, that adds more to the context and the tension that maybe they're gonna get found out. Assuming that this is like a top secret like discussion. So like that, it just adds tension to know that there's people in the background. So like, dang, I cannot not say For instance, if we have a character here, and maybe their kid is looking at the glass, and there's a person here who's like smiling with his kids or something like that, you could have, I don't know, maybe a kid randomly yell or something like that, or scream or start crying. And what they'll do is that they'll add tension to the scene, because maybe they're trying to not be found out, and so they're nervous or whatever. And when they hear like a kid screaming or crying in the background, it it makes the setting even more uncomfortable. Or potentially you could have someone who like asks them a question. Like someone could stoop over and be like, no, I'm actually just gonna copy this panel. Give me a sec. You could just have someone like come over and be like, oh hey, is this seat taken? Or like the edge of it, where someone like leans over and is like, hey, mind if I sit here? And then that adds something, that adds more tension to the scene, because it's like, hey, they're trying to have the secret conversation, or not be seen in public or something like that. And then someone is intruding on that. So, and you can only really, really get that if you have like enough negative space to show that there's an environment behind them. So, yeah. Either way. Cool. I will try to say less, but I don't know if it's gonna be possible. Is like the equivalent of preloading shaders in a in a discussion. It's that brief pause where it's like, okay, we need to load the information. Here's the time it's going to take. There, I did it. The amount of time that it takes me to finish this word, the thing will be loaded. Okay. So now to make a scene. Dang it, I could actually do all three of these. Oh boy, someone wants me to join their Discord. Very exciting. Alright, we're 40 minutes into this, taking forever. I guess I did spend the first like 15 minutes trying to, whatever, excuses. Let's see. Okay, this is gonna be tricky. Dang it, there I did it again. Yeah, this. I guess it's also filler noise, if that makes sense. Okay, these are actually all kind of tricky to do. Because I thought they would make sense, but Clandestine is characters are emotionally distant. Face to face is, well, Clandestine is characters are emotionally distant and they're not looking at each other. Face to face is characters are looking at each other very directly. Outer focus, which I have on hold, is characters are looking at something else and not looking at each other. So, looking at something else, they're kind of happy. Looking at each other, not happy. Not looking at each other, probably not happy. This is a difficult math equation. Yeah, here, I'm going to stall out. Okay, well, this isn't stalling out because I haven't actually, I haven't even thought of what I want to do. Actually, the, what is it, the opera scene from Revenge of the Sith is kind of a clandestine moment, mixed with, yeah, that's actually probably a good example. When they're watching the opera show or whatever it is. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to do something bold here. I think I might be able to combine all three of these. It's going to be difficult. Okay, this is going to require 3 characters to do this. Yeah, okay. I might be able to combine all 3 of these. So I'm just going to give a little overview game plan what I'm thinking this is going to be. I think outer focus. Yeah, I know I said I'm not going to do it, but here it is. The outer focus is going to be the beginning, and then Clandestine is going to be number 2, and then face to face is going to be number 3. The reason for this is because, okay, sorry, I normally do not give a game plan beforehand. The reason is because I'm trying to find what's the order of most contrast in terms of emotions. So 2 characters are happy, and then 2 characters or 2 groups. This is why I said there's going to be a third person. Feel distant from one person to another. And then maybe 3 is actually the crashing of the emotional reveal. So, like, they're just kind of this, hey, we're not looking at each other, everything's good. And it's like, hey, we're not looking at each other, everything's awkward. And then, hey, this is where you get the everything's not actually good. That might be the correct order. The alternative is you can have 2 characters that are together, and then somebody says something, and they like get mad at each other, and then eventually they sit apart from each other, and so then it's clandestine. Okay, you know what? Doesn't matter. I can do it either way. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to need to board it. That's it. Whew. Okay. Great. I'm not doing 3 sections. So, all right. Oh, yeah, only 46 minutes in. We're making good time. So. Okay. So I'm going to draw it from this view, from this perspective, just because this is going to require a lot of... I think this is going to require a lot of cutting and a lot of shots. And so it's easier to manage from this perspective. All right. Cool. Almost there. Almost ready to begin. Just need to do one thing. Need to get my timer up. And it is set. And I'm getting distracted. Okay, timer's set. Let's go. It is basically, geez Louise, I'm taking forever. Okay. Is the brush size the right size? Nope. You know what, this will be a session 31 holiday special or something. You know, it's like, after doing this for so long, we're going to do 3 sections in one go. Wasn't the first stream I did like 4 sections combined or something? It was outrageously overcomplicated. Okay. Now I just need to figure out what setting this is in. Let's see. Fantasy, sci-fi. Fantasy, sci-fi. It's basically my 2 options. Okay. We're gonna have, let's just, Okay. I'm just trying to think of an environment that's interesting. Okay. It's gonna be like a castle wall kind of thing. Yeah, okay. We're gonna have like a castle wall. Like that. There's gonna be 2 characters on the wall. Maybe there's like a, you know, like an entrance or no doorway, and maybe it's there's a magical tree or something built into the wall of this castle. You're gonna just have to believe me on this. And this drawing is really far away for people watching the stream because it's in the thumbnail view. And I want these little wall thingies to be a little bit further apart because I want our 2 characters to be here. Okay. So this is going to be a semi-public space. There's going to be other characters around here. Oh wait, I said, yeah, Clandestine is going to be second. Okay, cool. I was setting, it's fantasy, and maybe this character's in a hood. Maybe this is some sort of like, I don't know, forbidden romance or something like that, where it's like, oh my goodness, a dark mage and a paladin in love? How is this possible? Something stupid like that. All right, timer's beginning. 3, 2, 1, click. Okay, so camera's gonna push in. We are once again doing a camera push onto characters' emotions. And here's hooded lady. Yeah, she's in a hood or something like that. And we're pushing in. We're gonna push into their emotions all the way. I'm zooming the camera in, or zooming the screen in, or maybe I'm not. Okay, so I'm down here, and we have this moment. So her face is kind of covered or something like that. So maybe people can't see her. Maybe whatever's going on here is top secret, or they're not supposed to be chatting to each other. And I should have my onion skin on. And maybe we'll just get a little closer with the camera. They're both feeling pretty happy or something. And then we're going to cut to the reverse shot, or a far wide reverse angle, so we can see people walking about, and then we can see, I don't know, there's a beautiful sunset, like on the seashore or something like that. So we have characters in the foreground walking around and stuff. And then what we're going to have is the beginnings of, you know, here's them together. He says, I don't know, he doesn't say anything. She's down there. They're both looking at the same thing. So here's the wall. You know, I'm actually not good at drawing this view because it forces me to really crane my drawing hand to draw at the bottom of the page. Maybe she says something. She has her hood on. And you can still see people in the background at the edge of the wall. She says something about, the ocean is beautiful, but, you know, there's sand. I don't like sand, and it's coarse and gets everywhere. You know, I'm not actually someone who dislikes that line. Just an FYI. I don't think that line is actually a terrible line. She says something, and we don't see his face yet. And then maybe we cut to his reaction or something like that. So we're kind of trying to make this moment between these two characters. And then what happens is maybe someone shows up, like he hears a noise, and then now there's a a third character who just enters the scene. Oh my goodness. Okay. Pause timer. I can't draw like this from this view. I don't know why. I was able to do it the other day. Just can't do it today. I just need to be farther back. Sorry. Maybe not that far back. Okay. Storyboard Pro. Sorry. I don't want to complain because I like using the software. Really needs a plus minus button for this little teeny tiny thing down here that helps you to scale this up. Like, this is pretty ridiculous that this button's that small. Okay, but I shouldn't complain. I still like this software. It's just such a small button. Actually, maybe if I were to update. I'm using Storyboard Pro 20.1. And they're on like Storyboard Pro 25 or something like that. So that could be on me. Okay, we're just doing this from this view. Because yeah, it's just easier to draw. I don't have to hassle with that. Okay, timer's back up again. Here's our two characters. And here's the wall. And there's someone who's... Sorry, this is kind of janky perspective. Here's someone who's like, "Hi, nice to see you." It's like, you don't... Oh my goodness. It's like, you don't mind if I, Or maybe he's like an old friend or something like that. But he really has... less than good intentions. No, this isn't very clandestine then. If he's just showing up and talking, that doesn't follow our prompt. Okay, so we're just gonna have someone who's now standing there next to them. I'm gonna make this guy scary. He's more imposing or something like that. He's got a robe or something. I don't know, he's a high elf or something like that. Who just shows up next to them and doesn't look very happy. And here's all the beach and the clouds and everything. And so maybe she knows that she is not supposed to be seen here. Because maybe she knows this guy. She kind of... She's like, oh, shoot. So now she kind of goes into hiding mode. She's like, oh, crap. And then, maybe she looks away. And then we cut to high elf guy. Should he be on screen left or should he be on screen right? You know, I feel like he should be on screen right. But because technically that makes more sense geographically. But there's also that rule of frame sharing, where if he shares the same frame space, then that makes it a little bit more tense. Also, this is a lower angle, FYI. And then we're going to shoot from behind his flowing locks of hair. Where she's... I'm trying to think, how am I going to frame this? This is going to be tricky. Because he's taller, significantly taller. So maybe the guy... Sorry, this is a tricky shot in general. There's a lot of weird things going on. Sorry. This might be the worst scene I've done yet. So she is there. He's there. That's the background. Here's people. Yeah, this genuinely might be one of the worst scenes I've done yet. Maybe he, maybe his arms around her or something like that. Or maybe it isn't. So he has to look forward. So you have to pretend to not be talking or something like that. I was like, yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. This is... Oh, man. This is now really stressful. Yeah. Oh well. And then maybe, ooh, you know, it'd make things a little worrisome is if he like kind of backs away from her. Then we'll have this moment where we don't see all of her face, we just see part of it. So she's in shadows here. That's her nose. She was close to him. I'm gonna give this guy armor or something like that. You're gonna have to use your imagination for a lot of this. And so now they're kind of maybe splitting up a little bit. They kind of, you know, step apart a little. And so then she notices that. So this is a high angle. And so she kind of looks out of the corner of her eye. And she's like, wait, what? Man, this really is. a rough scene. Whatever. This is what happens when I... Yeah, so he's kind of looking away. And so she's now more worried because the person she's close to or something like that is now backing away, which means she's kind of stuck between maybe she gives a little bit of an angry look or something like that. Maybe a hurt look. It's like, what? Sorry. This is... You're gonna... I keep on saying you're gonna have to use so much imagination in this scene. And then we're gonna cut back to our high elf guy here. Just gonna draw attention back. Where he's like, you know, the consequences of whatever the heck you two are doing, or some corny stuff like that. I don't know. Saying something. So for this character, I'm not showing the background as much. Because remember earlier I said with Clandestine, or Clandestine, I don't even know how it's pronounced. I never hear people use it. I only see it written. When having people in the background to add context, because this guy has a position of power over them, apparently, in this narrative, there's not as much tension. I'm not trying to build up as much tension on his end. I'm trying to more build up tension on our characters' end, where our characters, like this guy, this knight guy or paladin, I don't know what, who is trying to back away from this whole confrontation. And then here, for this guy, we can have people in the background. Just to make it feel like he's kind of slightly surrounded. Or like maybe he's being exposed. Something like that, I don't know. And then maybe he, like, you know, tries to, you know, make it be like, oh yeah, no, this isn't what it looks like, or something like that. I don't know. Also, I need to draw her still technically physically in between them, but I've conveniently made her significantly shorter. He's like a whole head taller than her. Just so that we can have this moment mostly between them, or between them. And then what's going to happen now is high elf guy I don't. He's going to. So now our guy character here, he's going to be partially in the foreground. And now high elf guy. We're going to get some. Sorry, this is super crude, like these drawings. They take up this screen space. I'm actually going to have people in the background on his side that look like guards. Now, they aren't talking to our characters, but I just want to add tension that this guy could technically call over someone to do something really bad to them. So, you see, it's just a background element. It's just it's adding tension without him having to say anything. He's just talking to them. But now because we see guards and people like that over there on his side. And so this is, okay, I accidentally made this work. So earlier, remember I said that for this high elf king guy, we're not going to see his background because he has a position of authority over them. But we'll see people on their side to make it feel like they're trapped. And then when he talks, maybe he says something. Then we're getting a reveal that this guy, it's not just, he's physically taller than them or stuff like that. It's like, he can actually, there's people right over there that he could call. And they might do bad things. Or they might throw them in jail or something like that. I don't know what this is. Again, I'm making this all up. So then now we're going to cut in closer. So here's his hair again. Our one character. So hold on, we're going to cut into her first. Or she's looking. Maybe she's an elf too. I don't know. We're going to view her from a higher angle. So she continues to turn away just a little bit. And then we're gonna as she turns, so she's physically down here. Okay, sorry, this is a whole lot of little complex things going on. He maybe worriedly tries to explain himself. Again, is this really clandestine anymore if he's looking at him? I'd still say it kind of is, because this is more like he's maybe breaking. He's trying to make things less awkward. And then what's going to happen is then this guy's going to turn around. Right as he's trying to explain himself. And maybe now it becomes a little bit less clandestine because the elf king guy or whatever Now walks past him. I don't know where this is going to go. Yeah, now he's really tall. He's like a Nephilim or something. Sorry, this is super sloppy. I didn't know if you expected this to be the most deprecating stream thus far, but it is. Oh man, I could have had him do the face-to-face moment right here. Dude, okay. That actually, okay. Sorry, I'm scaling this guy up. This guy's really tall now. He's like stupidly tall. Okay. Well, okay, timer went up. Only got 53 panels in. Jeez Louise. So, okay. Okay, hold on. Was the other prompt? I just was technically already did 2 of the prompts. We did outer focus and we did clandestine. Face to face. Okay. I'm originally what I was going to do with this is that I was going to have these 2 characters like walk off screen and have a like face-to-face conversation. But for the sake of time, I might have this guy do that moment for us. But I don't know if that's really interesting because then it's no longer subtext. Then it's just text. You know? It's like, you do know. So I'm having it so that he's kind of This might be too much to do in one scene, one setting. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna speedrun this. You know what? Guess what? Because this is stream number 31. I'm gonna do a special. Okay. I'm gonna do a special just for you guys. I'm going to board through this super stupidly quick. And if it works, cool. And if it doesn't, I will reboard it. This guy's freaking huge. So this guy's revealing some kind of plot point information or something like that. As he kind of like circles around behind him. And then what he's going to do is... Yeah, I actually don't like how this is turning out. He's going to kind of look sort of towards our character to get a response out of him. And then what we're going to do... Yeah, I don't like the proportions and everything of how this is going. I don't like how this guy's centered for some reason, but whatever. Our character maybe can't hold eye contact with him. I don't know why our character is so small. Yeah, this would need to be entirely recomposed. But what's going to happen is this guy's going to... He's going to... What he's doing is he's kind of guilt-tripping him. Maybe he's talking about responsibility and duty or something like that. So what happens is he's going to... Camera is maybe it lowers. That'd be weird. Sorry, I'm messing around with the scene a lot more than I usually do. So that's her. She still has her back to all this. Yeah, this feels weird. So he like kind of leans in or whatever, and then walks by, and then he kind of moves over. I feel like part of the other problem is that because I'm shooting this from a low angle, it feels weird. When really this should be like from a high angle. Maybe this guy is like looking down at him, which would make him feel a little bit more powerful. If he were to, like, you know, snake around. Okay, well, I am already acknowledging that I don't think this was the correct way to go for this scene. Now we're cutting back to our lady friend here, who's, she's not watching this discussion because she's looking over here. So I think I'm finding my weakness now with storyboarding. And that is multiple characters, multiple motivations, and juggling them all. I think... Oh, I can use that she's like looking through her hood to see his expressions. So she can't see the, I mean, like, here's her hood. Maybe she can't fully see, like, what's going on. Okay, this scene's a mess, but... She sees that he's like capitulating. He's like, yeah, it's like, I understand. Something like that. Okay, yeah, this is a super janky. Man, okay. I need to stop, being so self-deprecating. This is a challenging scene to do. I'm doing 3 different things at the same time, or 3 different subjects at once. Sessions, not sessions. And also juggling 3 different characters, with each one having a different motivation than the other. So she sees him. He, like, capitulates. And then we actually shouldn't have this in here. We should get her reaction to seeing him. Maybe say something that she is not happy of. He said something in the group chat, and she just learned. She's like, what? You said that in the group chat? With the boys? The heck? That's a really teeny tiny mouth. I can't believe you'd say that. know, she feels betrayed or something. And then now we're going to cut to over the shoulder of our elf king guy. And here's our character here. But we're going to shoot him from a low angle or high angle because he's because now he is actually acting subservient to this guy. So beforehand he was kind of resisting, and now he's kind of like, yeah, okay, you got me. It's like I'll do better next time or something. I don't know. Again, I don't know the plot. And here's Elf King guy. We're gonna do a low angle shot from him. Ah, man, where would this go? This shot should be further back. I'll be honest, it should. Also, this is a low angle. It's like, thank you for your compliance. And he, I don't know, he walks away or something. And we're gonna cut back to this wide shot that we started at in the beginning. And we're gonna have, see, this is just gonna represent him. Okay, you just have to trust me here. Here's him walking away towards the camera. You know, I need to throw the sunset in there just so that we can tell that this is intentionally mirroring the beginning of this whole sequence. Yeah, people here. These are people. Just gotta trust me. Ooh. And he's walking towards the camera. We're gonna cut to our character. He's still smiling, but it's kind of a fake smile. And then we're gonna cut to her, and she's actually looking out the corner of her eye. She's like that. She's like that. And give her more negative space. And let's see. You know what? I should have started the scene with something. Before all this happens, they need to be holding hands. It needs to be seen, okay? Sorry. I'm not a person for romantic scenes and stuff like that. But they need to be holding hands. Okay? This is going to be important because now, at the end of this scene, they are not holding hands. She has her hands to herself. He has his hand over here. These are knuckles. They don't chuckle. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Elf King there, whatever the heck. And we're going to have, you know, the camera is going to lower down between them because we haven't had any camera moves yet. And so as he's walking away, the camera is lowering in between them. And so what we're going to get is this effect that as this guy's walking away and the camera's, you know, lowering, it's going to look like he has cut like a void between them. Something like that. So it's going to look like he physically just cut a, you know, like a... Sorry, I'm doing bad with my perspective today. It's going to look like he physically cut them in two. So he would start higher in the frame, and then as the camera goes down, see, now their hands aren't holding. And maybe we'll even have the hands awkwardly shift, you know. So it's like he's smiling, she's worried, and then camera lowers. To the reveal. Oops, wrong order. Something like that. This is not my best scene. I have stated that pretty clearly, I think on multiple occasions. Golly, geez Louise. Whew. Oh man, I said I would reboard this seed too for the 31st session special. You know what? I will. I'm gonna be a man of my word. Give me a second. I will board out what I was originally thinking. I'll board out. It will not take much longer. Oh, pretty bird. That's nice. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's a bird sitting outside the window. Also, my lungs are a lot better than they were last time. Okay. I'm just going to paste this over here. Okay. So, what were our prompts? Since I decided to do 3, the prompts were out of focus, which is when a character is focusing on something that is, it's like a couple. It's out of focus is for like an intimate moment where it's like 2 people are sharing a moment together and you're focusing on their happiness and whatnot. And they're both looking at something that's off screen. Face to face is when a character is revealing plot points, information, or something like that, and they control the screen. And then essentially what happens is that then the main focus becomes the person who is receiving the information, and then they react to it in some shape or form. And then clandestine is where characters can't show their true emotions, and are like hiding information or trying not to draw attention to themselves in public. So there you go, saying again. What is the scene that combines all 3 of them? Okay, use your imagination here. This is a fantasy setting wall. There's a tree built into this wall or something like that. They're by the sea. Here's these 2 people. One lady's hooded. I don't know, he's a paladin or something. And they're having a nice little moment. They're looking at something. Oh, look, it's a sunset by the sea. How pretty. And they're holding hands or something. And then what happens is they're, wow, I sure do love the sea. This is very romantic, and I wish we could show ourselves in public. And he's like, yeah, something. And they hear something, they look over, and oh, Elf King guy. This is bad news for some reason. She looks, and she's like, she like looks away. He says something that's like, blah, 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 blah. He's like getting information for them. He knows that they know that he knows. So we cut to this guy. He's the main one who's being addressed. He's like, oh, okay, yeah. He looks over because he sees people over there. And no, he looks over because he's shuffling away from her. She's like, whoa, wait, what? And then he's he's a little embarrassed. And then she's thinking to herself, And then he's, what's he doing? He says more lines to make it obvious that he knows what's going on. And then our character, he still feels a little bit trapped. That's why we have all these people over here. So he's trapped between some sort of elf king guy and some sort of, there's people there so that, he doesn't want them to know what's going on. And he also doesn't want to deal with this guy, so he's trapped. And then now we get to the reveal of this guy, the Elf King. We see guards in the background just setting up a little bit of nervousness or tension because he could call them over. It's like, what you're doing is wrong, but I admire your courage or something. She looks away. He looks towards him and is like trying to convince him. It's like, no, I don't think you understand what's going on. He's like, look, buddy. He walks around him and gives him some plot details, and he's like, things could go really bad. The world could end or something like that. And he's like, I need to know that you're willing to commit to your role as a paladin. And then or something like that. And she like looks up at him and sees him out through the hood. And he's like, okay, he capitulates and says something and kind of like disowns her. It says Judas Iscariot moment. And she's like, oh. He's like, yeah, okay, cool. He's like, thank you. And then we won't have this conversation again. And he like walks off. And he's still kind of smiling. And she's still nervous. And then we boom down to their hands are no longer holding. Oh my goodness, it's so sad. What a tragic moment. All right. I think my feelings on this scene are more than apparent. All right. You know, I think the second worst scene I did was also on a wall. I think it was session number 2 or 3, where it also dealt with fantasy. And I'm starting to think that maybe anytime I resort to fantasy instead of sci-fi, it means I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm starting to get that feeling. Dang it. Now I really don't want to board this alternative version of the scene. But whatever. I said I would. Oh my goodness. We're going to have a 2-hour stream. I will summarize what was going to happen. I'm going to draw beat boards, okay? He was going to walk off screen, okay? So I'm going to draw beat boards. He's going to walk off screen. So in this version, he doesn't even need to confront this guy. He's already kind of given him a warning. Ooh, I got a text message. I turned my phone off. Okay, so this guy, he walks off screen. And then what's going to happen is we were going to have basically this exact same shot where he's like walking away from them. Yeah, basically all this was going to be the same. So he walks away. And actually what was going to happen is as he walks away, the camera was going to pull back a little bit to see this character's expression. And then it was gonna and then he was going to look down at her expression, I think. Dang it. How was this gonna go? So let's see, he was gonna walk away. We're just gonna slowly pull back. And so they're now both looking at the sea together. It feels more distant. So there's gonna be something like this. They're both still looking at the sea, but clearly there's now more of a void between them or something like that. And then he was gonna say something. I guess it should be a static. Man, this is romantic drama. Something I'd never do in storyboarding. We're gonna cut back to her in the shadows or something like that. Her face is in the shadows. And maybe they're still holding hands or something like that. And then he's just like, so you see now they're kind of having a clandestine moment because this is a low angle shot. So now they're now emotionally separate from each other. So it shifted from them being close to each other to this guy being awkward and being, yeah. Basically, this guy is transferring his negative energy into their moment. And they're both pondering on it. They're still holding hands. And he says something. And then he doesn't even get to say anything. And he's just like, hey, I think we should. And then she turns away. Oh no, so sad. Whew. Then the hands, her hand slips out or something. It's so sad. And then we're going to cut to this extreme wide again. And she's going to walk off. And something. Oh, yeah. I got these wrong. She's the shorter one, and she's on the left. And she, like, runs off or something. He's like, oh gosh, no, I'm so sad. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, this actually still isn't fully what I was getting to. I mean, I said I'd just do beat boards. Okay, I am just gonna do beat boards. Basically, she was gonna run off to somewhere. We were gonna do a tracking shot, of course, of her, sad and stuff. Ugh, I'm sad and stuff. Sorry, this is not a very good emotional moment. Sorry, this is supposed to be drama, but because I'm in a rush to get out of here and do other drawing today and other stuff. She was going to get to some secluded place. Maybe there's tree roots or something like that because it's fantasy. Yeah, here's somewhere. She was going to get to a secluded area where she's like sad and distraught and, wants to be hidden. That's why there's tree roots. And then she was going to get to some spot. Maybe she's a wood elf. And so this all kind of emotionally connects. It's symbolic. So she's in like tree roots or something like that. And so what's going to happen is that eventually her secret lover or whatever was going to show up and try and comfort her and explain the plot points of why something bad could happen or something, and they were gonna reconcile, which is a whole nother scene that I'd have to board. That would have been like another like 30 drawings or something like that. And so it's gonna be a thing where she feels, you know, emotionally small, or she's physically small in the frame. And so what was gonna happen was that as he approached and started talking to her, that see, this is what happens when I can draw quickly. This is how I used to draw to get that like 90 panels in like 20 minutes. So he was going to circle around, maybe at first not make eye contact because it's like awkward, and then as he was going to talk and explain things, the camera was going to push in. Okay, sorry, Storyboard Pro was saving there. So he was going to push in. He was going to get a little bit closer or something like that, and sit down beside her. And then, as he's revealing plot points and information about, like, I don't know, end of the world stakes or something like that, or he's joined the military, or I don't know. There's something going on. He's explaining something. And then, because she's not reacting to it or not listening, what was going to happen was he was then going to circle around so that we can get more of a reveal of her emotions. And then, but she's going to look over to screen left because she doesn't want to see his face either. But then it's eventually going to get real close. And she was going to say something. And then, oops. Let's see. That's a calendar. You guys saw for a second. Then she was eventually going to look up. See, she said. And so now I'm trying to think. Yeah, camera gets closer. And so then he was going to react or something like that. And then maybe they, like, I don't know. They hug it out or something. Maybe they don't smooch. They just hug it out. Because something emotions. Something responsibility because he's a paladin or something. I don't know what. And so it's gonna, if I'm gonna make it feel like that they're isolated when they're doing this. I don't know. Actually, no, because they're in the shadows. This is more of a personal moment. So I'm gonna make it not so, we're gonna keep it small. And so you got all these roots and stuff like that. And then the camera would slowly pull back. So we pushed into this moment, and then we're going to pull out of this moment. And then it'd probably fade to black. And then go into the next scene. So you see, then it'd be like fade to black or something. Yep. Give me a second. Maybe. Okay. Just don't do the bucket fill tool. Cool, I'm fine with that. Okay. Yeah, Storyboard Pro. I have some questions. Why is it using the selection tool when what the heck is going on? Okay, this is actually a bug. Huh. This is a bug. This is interesting. Every button I click goes back to the selection tool. So you see it says selection tool? Cool, selecting. Brush tool, it is still selecting. Okay. All right, never mind. We're not gonna get a fade out. What the heck? I have never had this happen. Oh, did it fix itself? Okay. I've literally never had that happen before. No idea what did it. Would rather it not happen again. Okay. Okay, cool. So what was this alternative take on the scene? Since we now have two versions of the scene. That actually turned out really good. Sorry, not to brag. But I did not expect to be able to beatboard through that entire scene in like 5 minutes for the ending section. So here's these two people. Oh my goodness, it's like some sort of paladin guy and some sort of like, I don't know, wood elf or something. She's hidden, she's not supposed to be here. They're holding hands. Oh my goodness, they're having a lovely moment by the sunset at the beach. And oh my goodness, high elf king guy shows up, or prince or something. She doesn't like him. He knows what they're doing. They're kind of pretending that nothing's actually happening. He kind of scoots away from her. Oh my goodness, the tension. She's feeling betrayed. He's further saying like, hey, come on, you gotta knock it off. It's like, you won't want me to call those guards over here or something. And he's like, no, seriously, it's not spicy. It's like, look, dude, bro, I know what's going on. It's like, see ya. And he hit her with a red brush. Okay. He like walks off. And you look over at him, and he looks over towards the sunset, and they sit there silently. And their hands are still holding, and he's like, look, we need to, and she's like, oh, and her hand pulls away, and she runs off. Oh, yeah, she should probably move in this panel. And then there's going to be some sort of tracking shot where we follow her, and she runs into the tree roots or something like that, and he catches up to her, and then he was going to walk up to her, and camera pushes in all this different stuff. And then, yeah, that's basically how the scene was going to go. And then, yeah. That's the scene. So, yeah, okay, cool. Well, that's session 3-1. Yeah, sorry, my mic cut out there. It cut out as I was summarizing this last little bit. But yeah, anyway, these two characters, they talk and get emotional and stuff happens. All right, well, I gotta go. Thank you all for watching. This was a really, really long stream. Because I kind of did this section twice, and it was also a complicated section to do. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I think next stream I'm going to be doing, tomorrow or Friday or whenever, I'm going to be doing something that's a little different. I think I'm going to be doing continuations or like streaming work on projects I'm doing. Like not paid projects, but personal projects. Anyway, thank you for your time and have a good day. See ya. Bye.